Hello everyone and welcome to Tiger Tales, a place where you'll find stories and fanfictions written and read to you by your host, me, Tai Tiger. Now before we just dive into anything, copyright is not intended and there isn't any connection to the main continuity. That being said, let's dive into Universe 113, where the Power Rangers Foundation are currently in the midst of working with Mark, the Red Cornish Ranger, a universal traveller hunting down Nephis, the Royal Blue Ranger, who's currently in cahoots with the new formed Lucicon. We left the last chapter with Dante about to give up his powers, and the rest of the Rangers stood there watching. Now let's dive in with Power Rangers Foundation, Chapter 18, Red vs. Blue, Good vs. Evil. Dante knelt before Lucicon. CJ teleported into the scene and handed a USB stick to the Red Cornish Ranger. He walked up past Dante and walked up to the Royal Blue Ranger and handed it to her. She took the USB drive. "Thanks, Mark," the Royal Blue Ranger said with a slight chuckle. She then plugged the USB drive into her morpher and the file started to transfer. "File transferred. Waiting for ocular recognition to activate," Finster 5 said. The Royal Blue Ranger jumped up onto a street lamp, which was levelled with Adam's pod. She pressed her morpher and a holographic eye scanner projected from her wrist. She touched Adam's pod and the top half of it dissolved. The Royal Blue Ranger leaned over and opened Adam's unconscious eye, and held the morpher to him. The scanner spun left and then right and changed from a red to a bright green. "Ocular recognition scan successful," Finster 5 said. "Yes, finally," the Royal Blue Ranger cheered. She then backflipped off the street lamp and the pod formed over Adam once more, encasing him completely once again. "Your turn now," the Royal Blue Ranger said to Lucicon. "I shall do this in front of your teammates," Lucicon sneered. He then grabbed Dante and lifted him high off the ground. The black energy started to siphon off of Dante and into Lucicon. Dante screamed out in pain.
"We cannot just stand here and watch,"
the Red Cornish Ranger barked. "Mark, it's okay. Dante never goes into anything blind," CJ told him.
"Wait, he has a plan?"
the Red Cornish Ranger asked, rather confused. "Of course he does," the other Ranger sighed, silently beating herself up, full well knowing that Dante would do something like this.
"What's he going to do?"
the Red Cornish Ranger asked CJ. "Amy lives with a rather abusive stepfather, and though we can't do a lot, Dante made safety precautions. If Amy beeps her communicator once, it means that she needs a Power Ranger. But if she beeps it twice, it means she needs Dante to come and get her." "And how does that help us?" the Blue Ranger asked CJ after she explained. "Well, I get all the notifications from your communicators as they're linked to my PC server. Dante beeped the communicator twice," CJ said.
"So by reversing it, he's hoping she will come?"
the Red Cornish Ranger stated. "Actually, she's already here," CJ replied. "Wait, what? How'd you know?" the other Ranger blurted. Lucicon howled in laughter as he was absorbing the black Mighty Morpher Ranger power from Dante, when suddenly something jumped past them. It was the Pink Ranger. She hit the floor, sliding across the road. She aimed her Astro Blaster and pulled the trigger, energy shots hitting both Lucicon and the Royal Blue Ranger, making Lucicon drop Dante. He hit the floor hard and managed to find his feet. He backflipped away and he helped the Pink Ranger to her feet. Both of them regrouped with their team. "Thanks, Ames. You came just in time," Dante told the Pink Ranger. "Honestly, I was just winging it. I just assumed that's what you meant because of the whole beeping thing," the Pink Ranger said, revealing her communicator. "You're a smart kid, Ames. You did good," Dante said through the lack of breath. "Hey, are you going to be okay?" CJ asked him. "I'll be good. Don't worry about me, but you need to get out of here now," Dante ordered. CJ nodded and pressed the communicator and teleported away. "I better suit up," Dante muttered. Then he pulled out his power morpher and held it out, and it opened, and in a flash of black, he morphed into the black Mighty Morphin Power Ranger once again. "Screw you, Rangers," the Royal Blue Ranger barked. Then Lucicon held up his hands and an army of putrids teleported in. "That's a lot of putrids," the Blue Ranger gasped. "Hey, we got this," the Black Ranger said confidently.
"Lead the way,"
the Red Cornish Ranger said. "Actually, before we do, Mark, can I have your power axe?" the Black Ranger asked him.
"My power axe? Sure, here you go,"
the Red Cornish Ranger said, and summoned his power axe and handed it to the Black Ranger. "Dude, "You're the Black Ranger, you've already got a power axe," the Pink Ranger commented. "My point, exactly," the Black Ranger said. Then he summoned his own power axe and dropped into his fighting stance. "Mastodon, Twin Tusk Formation," the Black Ranger called out. The Red Cornish Ranger summoned the Green Dragon Dagger and Saba. Then he dropped into his fighting stance. The Black Ranger looked at the other three. "We're going to cut through and get to Nephis and Luzcon. You three have got these ugly things, right?" the Black Ranger asked. "Hey, we got you, bro," the Blue Ranger said, summoning his Chrono Sabers and putting the handles together, making them into a double-ended blade. The Black Ranger and the Red Cornish Ranger ran through the crowd of putrids, both of them swinging their weapons, slicing down putrids as they did. The Black Ranger switched both axes to blaster mode and started blasting putrids down. Then the Red Cornish Ranger turned Saba, blade pointing down to the floor, and Saba shot white lasers from his eyes, slicing down putrids as he went. The two long-range attacks cleared a path straight for Luzcon and Nephis. "Alright guys, Dante and Mark need these guys cleared, so let's get this done quick, okay?" the Yellow Ranger said, throwing her fist into her palm. "Lead the way, Chloe," the Blue Ranger said. Then the three Rangers dived into the army of putrids. The Blue Ranger jumped in and spun around in circles, gripping onto his double-ended blade, spinning through the army, slicing down putrids as he went. The Yellow Ranger summoned her Thundermax Saber. Jumping in the air, using the blaster mode, she aimed down and blasted through the putrids, but then as she landed on the floor, she shifted it back into saber mode and cut down a few putrids as her feet touched the ground. The Pink Ranger somersaulted in and punched one putrid before swinging her foot to its head, knocking it off its feet. She then, blocking incoming attack, punched the putrid in the chest and then swiped it over by gliding her foot under its feet. The Red Cornish Ranger ran straight for the Royal Blue Ranger, swinging Sab at her. She blocked the attack by holding up her arms in a cross formation. The Red Cornish Ranger then slashed her stomach with the Dragon Dagger, sparks flying off her.
"Why don't you quit now? Like, seriously, aren't you tired of this?"
the Red Cornish Ranger asked her. "Please, why would I quit? I'm so close to my goal," the Royal Blue Ranger sneered. She then jumped up and attacked him with a flurry of kicks, making him stumble back. The Black Ranger swung both axes down at Luzcon. The Orc blocked the attack with one arm before throwing a lightning strike from his horn, which struck the Black Ranger. He jumped up to his feet, then ran at Luzcon, switching both axes to blaster mode, shooting at him. Then he jumped up and switched them back to axe mode quickly and started slashing down at Luzcon in multiple directions, Luzcon taking a few steps back as he took every attack. "Stand down, Luzcon," the Black Ranger shouted. "You can't beat me, Black Ranger," Luzcon barked back. Then Luzcon summoned a demonic sword and started swinging it at the Black Ranger. He managed to block the first attack, but the second swing caught his stomach, knocking him back. Then Luzcon booted the Black Ranger in the chest, knocking him backwards. Both of the Rangers stumbled into each other. "Mark, this isn't working," the Black Ranger said as he stood up, back to back with Mark.
"I got a crazy idea. Switch places with me,"
the Red Cornish Ranger suggested. "I actually like it," the Black Ranger cheered. Then both of the Rangers spun around, switching places. The Red Cornish Ranger faced Luzcon.
"Okay, Orc. Now you face the Red Cornish Ranger,"
he yelled at Luzcon. "Huh. Not the first British fool I have faced," Luzcon sneered.
"Then I will be your last,"
the Red Ranger snapped as he dropped into his fighting stance, Saba and the Dragon Dagger in hand. He ran at Luzcon and jumped up and kicked the Orc. Then he slashed down with the Dragon Dagger, sparks flying off Luzcon. He then aimed Saba and shot the two white lasers at the Orc. Then he threw both blades into the ground and summoned the rest of the power weapons and formed the cannon once more. He then aimed the power cannon at the Orc and pulled the trigger. The energy shot hit Luzcon dead on, causing a massive explosion. Luzcon dropped one knee. The Black Ranger faced the Royal Blue Ranger. "Bit of a downgrade now, don't you think?" the Royal Blue Ranger sneered. "Okay, fine, Nephis. I'll up the ante for you, shall I?" the Black Ranger replied. He then demorphed and held up his power morpher, and it started to glow silver. Then it shifted form and the light vanished, revealing the lunar morpher in his hand. He flipped it open and pressed the center button. He held the phone to his ear and threw out his free hand. "Wild access!" he called out, and in a flash of light he morphed into the silver Wild Force Ranger. So this is what Lucicon was talking about, the Royal Blue Ranger muttered. Then he summoned his Lunar Q in Saber mode and ran at the Royal Blue Ranger. He swung down and slashed the Royal Blue Ranger, sparks exploding off her. He then jumped up and double kicked her before he landed. He rolled back, switching his Lunar Q to Blaster mode. He then aimed it and pulled the trigger. Energy blast rained at the Royal Blue Ranger, explosions erupted, and she was thrown off her feet. As she hit the floor, she demorphed and stumbled to a stand. "Screw you, Future Foundation," Nephis barked. She then held up her wrist and pressed her morpher, and a portal opened. "Wait, Nephis," Lucicon screamed. "No, Lucicon, I got what I wanted. You can deal with these new generation of fools by yourself," Nephis growled. Then she jumped through the portal disappearing behind her.
No, damn it! Not again.
The Red Cornish Ranger called out. The Silver Ranger joined his team and they surrounded Lucicon. His two mutant generals tried to jump in to defend him. "Let me leave, Rangers. You won't be able to beat me now," Lucicon barked. The Red Cornish Ranger jumped up and Lucicon tried to move, but the Red Cornish Ranger summoned his power sword and put it against Lucicon's throat, putting him to a standstill.
Release Adam Park now,
he demanded. "Fine," Lucicon growled. He then looked at the floating white pod and waved his hand, the white pod dematerializing completely, leaving the unconscious Adam Park floating there. "I return Adam to where he came from," Lucicon muttered, and Adam teleported away.
Where did you send him, Ludicron?
The Red Cornish Ranger barked at him. "I returned Adam Park home," Lucicon grinned. Lucicon jumped back and his two generals shot energy blasts, making the Red Cornish Ranger jump back, holding his hands up to defend himself. "Let us flee now," Lucicon grinned. Then the two generals followed their master, and all three of them teleported away. Everyone grouped up and demorphed. "Mark, I'm so sorry, man. Nephis got away," Dante said.
It's okay. She's a slippery one.
Mark replied, looking a bit disappointed. "You're going to go after him now, aren't you?" Amy asked.
I have to. It's my mission.
Mark said. Luca and Chloe looked at Dante. "Dude, what's wrong?" Luca asked. "Adam might be at the dojo," Dante said solemnly. Dante looked at Mark, then at his team, and they all nodded at him. He pressed his communicator and teleported away. He teleported into the dojo's apartment. He looked around and ran into the bedroom, then ran into the living area where CJ sat there looking rather sad. She revealed her monitor and it showed the picture of the globe. "I scanned the entire planet twice." "He isn't here, Dante, I'm sorry," CJ muttered. Dante teleported back to the group, who were talking to Mark. "He isn't here." "He isn't anywhere, actually," Dante said with a sigh. "I'm so sorry, Dante," Chloe said, tears filling her eyes. She ran over and hugged him. Then he walked over to Mark. "Mark, you're a fine fellow, and you're welcome here whenever you want. If you ever need us, we got your back, okay?" Dante told him.
Thank you. You are an amazing team, and I know you will show that freak what's what.
Mark replied. "Don't be a stranger," Amy smiled. Mark nodded, then looked at Luca.
You think about it, what I said, yeah?
Mark told him. "Yeah, I got you," Luca nodded. Then Mark pulled out a strange-looking device and handed it to Dante. "What's this?" Dante asked.
It's a dimensional device. I don't need it anymore. But the last place that it was registered is a dimension that also seems to be looking for their Adam. Tell them I sent you, and maybe they can help.
Mark explained. "A different universe?" Dante asked shockingly.
You don't have to, but think about it. You never know.
Mark told him. "Thanks, Mark," Dante grinned. Mark then pressed his communicator and a portal similar to the one Nephis jumped through opened.
Alright, Future Foundation. Till we meet again.
Mark said. "Next time, bro," Dante grinned. They all waved as Mark waved back, and then he walked through the portal. The portal closed behind him. The Red Cornish Ranger had left Universe 113. "Ah, man, I forgot to ask about Cornish pasties," Luca gasped. Everyone went home and the day dragged on. Later that night, Chloe woke and climbed out of bed and tiptoed around the room, trying not to wake CJ in the process. She walked into the living area and found Dante sat there with a backpack, sat next to him, and the dimensional jumper device in his hands. Luca was asleep on the couch opposite him. "Are you actually going to go?" Chloe asked as she sat next to him. "I don't know. It's only a thought." It's crazy though, right? Dante asked her. I think what's crazier is you're a strong man, Dante. You're 18. You're a good, wholehearted leader. You train us, you house half of us, you're like a big brother to Amy, and the last 2 months have been really tough. I think you deserve a chance to save the one person that means a lot to you, Chloe told him. But the team's gonna be mad, Dante said. Nah, they'll get it, Chloe responded. Dante placed his hand on her knee. You're in charge until I get back, okay? Dante grinned. Chloe leaned over and hugged him. Go. Find out what you can. Anything is better than nothing. And hey, you gotta meet more rangers. That's gotta be kinda cool, Chloe said, wiping a tear off her cheek. Yeah, I will. I should better get in contact with CJ, so I'll call you guys when I can, Dante said. Chloe and Dante stood and walked to the centre of the room. Dante aimed at the dimensional jumper device and pulled the trigger, summoning a portal. This portal was different to the one Mark and Nephis used, as it was more unstable. Dante swung his bag over his shoulders and he walked through it. Chloe waved him goodbye and the portal closed. When you get back, dumbass, maybe you can figure out that I love you, Chloe said, with a tear rolling down her face. Luca bolted up and wiped saliva off his chin. What's going on? He asked sluggishly as he yawned. Luzcon walked into his collection room. Foul mood. Angry, annoyed, and in pain. He slowly walked around the shelves and then noticed a box with a letter on it. He opened the box to find 3 small crystal orbs. Each one looked like a galaxy. Then Lucicon opened the letter and read it. Dear Lucicon, if you're reading this, then you have failed. So I had Finster 5 form these for you. They will need some form of morphing grid energy, and they will reawaken your wife, your brother, and your son. I hope you know how to find them. Anyway, you can thank me later. Thanks for the fun. Love you lots, Nephis. The letter said. My wife, my brother, my son, Luzcon said, out loud, rather confused. His 2 mutant generals walked in and approached Luzcon. Master, what's happening now? One general said. We are heading home, Luzcon sneered. In a dimensional slipstream, Nephis walked through the green and black dimensional tunnel, waiting for the portal to open. Then suddenly a huge green glowing energy being with yellow eyes and 2 big curved horns appeared. It was the astral projection of Nephis's boss. Nephis, please tell me you have good news, the projection being said. I have found the multiversal map in Universe 113, and I have located Universe 35 with it. I am on my way to that universe now, Nephis replied. Good. You're looking for a pyramid. The knowledge I need will be in there. I need to know how to rule over the other gods here, Nephis. You are my only hope, the being told her. How do you know this universe is the one, though? Nephis asked hesitantly. Brohan is a slippery fool. He is the craftsman, though, the legendary keymaker. The legendary keymaker left his last piece of art here in this universe. Universe 35 is sadly riddled with keys, so be careful, the being told her. Yes, sir, Nephis bowed. Now go forth and find me that information. If you do find me the thing I need, then as promised, you'll rule as my general in Universe 2118, the being told her, with a slight grin. Nephis bowed again and the being vanished without a trace. In the land without time and space, William Cranston picked up both Mark's and Nephis's chess pieces and placed them on the chessboard labelled Universe 35. Sir, I'm assuming it's working. Your plan for that bigger chessboard over there? The knight asked. Yes, it is. Now I must work on the new arrivals, William told the knight. Arrivals, sir? The knight asked. Well, Universe 2118, I'm only hoping for 2 reasons. 1, revenge. Sneaky green bastard backstabbed me a little while back. That, he's a tyrant. And 2, one of its rangers I will need. Universe 91, I'm just watching, yet I am tempted to get involved. Anyway, Universe 35 and Universe 113 are the reasons I'm here, and they're about to get a lot bigger, a lot more powerful. They'll need chess pieces. And saying that, Luzcon is also about to get his numbers grown too, William told his knight. "Does that mean I have to go out again, sir?" the knight asked hesitantly. "Soon, my dear friend. Soon," William said. He then walked over to his craft bench and started carving a new chess piece. Behind him, the big white chessboard that was placed in the corner, having several white chess pieces and several black chess pieces. The black chess pieces all demonic. One chess piece moved forward by itself, waiting for William to make his move. There you have it, guys. Power Rangers Future Foundation Chapter 18. Hope you guys have enjoyed this story. If you have, let me know down in the comments down below. This story is in association with the Three Ranger Bros Studios, which is made up of myself, Mark the Red Cornish Ranger, who in this chapter voiced Mark the Red Cornish Ranger. And make sure you go check out his podcast, Nerd Through Comics, which he is currently adapting Power Ranger comic books into audio dramas. I voice one of his characters for him. And then the third member is Willie, my Parabatai cosplay dude 67, with Power Rangers Universe 19. Make sure you go check out his stories, because they're absolutely amazing. Now, make sure you check out our association, Zero to Hero Network and the Zero to Hero podcast, with Billy and Jim, their hosts. They are the Balkan School of Podcasting, and they're fantastic. So make sure you go follow everyone I just mentioned, subscribe to this channel if you're new, and hit this video with some likes. And of course, hit that notification bell so you don't miss another Power Rangers Future Foundation story. More to come, don't you worry. With that being said, I shall see you guys really soon.